I don't want to talk about this again.
Real quick in closing here to The Bodyguard, because you mentioned it. How was that production?
The Bodyguard went pretty well. There were two hiccups during that I recall. They didn't shoot it on the lot. They got a couple of warehouses down in like Vernon or Southgate, those industrial parts of LA. They had a scissor lift operator was killed. He was operating a scissor lift by remote control, and he didn't realize that the single remote control was operating two lifts. And some freak of nature, I mean, he managed to crush himself between the two things while he was operating. So that was a tragic thing about The Bodyguard. And then the music, and the thing is that Jim Wilson and Kevin Costner were very much involved in the whole production of that. I mean, their company was producing it, and John Barry was sort of their guy. They had done Dances with Wolves with him and other projects, so John was like their guy, and they were very disappointed when there were changes they wanted, and John just flat out refused. He couldn't do it. I mean, the word is he just flat out refused to do it, and I don't think Warner Brothers ever hired him again after that. Really? But it wasn't that he refused as much as he couldn't do it. He just couldn't do it, And it's ironic. It's kind of funny in a way. He ended up getting an Oscar nomination for Chaplin, which was great for him. I don't think he won. He did get the nomination for Chaplin. But then The Bodyguard was the biggest selling soundtrack album of all time. Honest to God. So it's like, John really missed out on something. If the timing had been better for him, he would have missed out on a huge payday with that soundtrack album and those sales.
Whose call was Whitney Houston? Was she the first choice for that?
I think so. Yeah. She was. When they were doing the one that Lady Gaga did, the Star Is Born. They had so many different incarnations of people with that. Whoever was hot at the time, Beyonce was the big person in consideration for that when I was still at the studio. And Lady Gaga did a great job and everything with it. But that's another one that bounced around for a long time. With different people getting involved in it. Clint Eastwood was going to direct it. And that's eventually how Bradley Cooper did it, because Bradley Cooper was working with Clint on the American Assassin. And then Bradley, sort of got in there. Clint either lost interest or got frustrated with it or had other things to do. But Clint Eastwood was going to be the director of that for the longest time.
Mm. Yeah. What do you think of the movie in retrospect, The Bodyguard?
I like it. I always liked that movie. I don't sit and it's not one that if it's running on HBO and I'm flipping channels, how sometimes, even though you've seen a movie a million times, you'll stop and you watch it.
Right.
That's not, I'll watch parts of it. I won't watch the whole thing. But but it's in my Voodoo collection. I have the DVD. I probably have the Blu-ray. I have the soundtrack album. I always liked working with Kevin. I thought it was a good movie, and I liked working with Whitney Houston. I can't remember the woman. There was an actress who played her sister in it. I'd worked with her before, and I always I'm picturing her face. I can't remember her name.
Me too.
But I'd worked with her before when I was doing television, and she was great. There was so much to like about that movie. It did really well at the box office. It was a good thing. Whitney certainly delivered the goods.
Yeah,
she was great. I don't want to tell any gossip.
You don't want to tell any gossip. I think we all know the gossip. I think we know it by now. I'd be surprised if the gossip started or stopped at that movie and picked up when the movie was wrapped.
Robert De Niro always had this thing for African American women, and he was hanging around that set a little bit. He was hanging around trying to get in with Whitney on there, and everybody kept saying, "Bob, it's not you. Believe us, it's not you."
Yeah, it's not Bob. Let's just say your time would be better spent on another set.
Your road to redemption is paved with tombstones. No quarter, kill all masters. Go to nocquarterkillallmasters.com. Rated R.